Doctors are warning that the end-of-life care given to many dying Australians is making their final days worse instead of better. Patients with a poor prognosis are sometimes given aggressive drug therapy or surgery when there's basically no hope of saving their lives. Experts call it limited benefit or futile medical treatment. Critics say it not only prolongs suffering, it's putting a strain on the health system. Annie Guest reports.
In the rural New South Wales community of Junee, Miriam Dayhue cared for her dying brother.
He was a very gentle person. He was a very caring person. But he always enjoyed life and family and people.
Peter Zineder was treated for laryngeal or throat cancer in his early 50s, and by 60 his prognosis was deteriorating.
He'd put himself to bed and decided to die because he had recently started with the sore throats and things again, and so he'd self-diagnosed that his laryngeal cancer was back again and probably decided that that was it, he wasn't going through all of the trauma again.
Peter decided to quietly decline in the country, but when doctors discovered more cancer, they operated. Miriam was surprised his malnourished body survived treatment that she says was painful, wasteful and futile.
I couldn't massage his back. I kept catching my fingers in his ribs.
And he was scheduled for radiotherapy within...
the following day. Yeah. It's very hard because, as I said, I don't know whether he was grasping at the time he consented to the surgery. But I don't think it should ever have been offered.
Peter died 4 months after his operation.
If we were keeping alive our dog and putting our dog through this kind of extensive procedural surgery, I can almost put money on the fact that we'd be charged with cruelty to the animal.
G'day, I'm Dr. Saul. I'm just going to open your eyes for you.
Dr. Peter Saul is an intensive care specialist in New South Wales.
How are you feeling?
Dr. Saul says medically ineffective treatment happens every day.
I don't think a day would go by in a large public hospital without many examples of medically ineffective treatment being carried out. It wouldn't surprise me by the end of the decade or so that almost half or something of what we do is no longer really beneficial to people.
He says doctors mean well, but a culture of death denial has infiltrated medical decision-making.
I think the doctors themselves have the major responsibility and have failed to shoulder it.
But sometimes the families of a dying relative insist on maximum treatment. When Ray and Jenny Jordan's son Daniel developed a brain tumour at age 11, doctors advised against high-risk surgery until he was 15.
The surgeon opened Daniel up, but she said, nothing I can do, closed him, came out, said, it's all over.
The family turned to Dr. Charlie Teo, who's known for pushing the boundaries of neurosurgery.
I'd rather have Daniel died on an operating table trying than watch him die slowly from a brain tumour.
Daniel Jordan later took his original surgeon to court, but the court found the surgeon's advice was right. Daniel lived another 12 years until he suddenly died of a brain bleed in September. The Jordans are certain Dr. Teo prolonged Daniel's life.
In that time, he finished school, he went to university and graduated, and he lived independently and made me very, very proud.
In other cases, Peter Saul says doctors feel they can't be sued for treating too much, but might be sued for not treating at all.
Our own research shows it takes about 2.5 hours from start to finish to actually have a proper conversation about people's expectations. So it's quite a time-consuming process.
Compared to what?
Well, if you're going to say you need an operation, that's 5 minutes, 2 minutes.
In New South Wales, most health dollars are spent in the last 30 days of life.
Dying has become very, very expensive. which may be fine, I don't mind. I would just like to think that if dying's very expensive, that that's being spent to make you comfortable more than fighting the inevitable.
Instead, intensive care units are expanding and 1 in 4 people die there. 2 years ago, Bob McWhirter decided he'd rather die than have more treatment for prostate cancer.
Getting better thanks to you. They tried to get me to go and have the radiation and keep it in the sac where it was, but as I said, I've had too many cuts down there, so I just had enough. And at 70, well, you don't want to live forever, do you? I don't.
With his pain controlled, he's going home today.
Oh, good, I can walk now, which is great. I couldn't, and I was just prostrate when the ambulance brought me.
Palliative care tackles physical symptoms and aims to help people come to terms with their situation. Palliative care specialist Dr. Julia Wooten says some patients endure unnecessarily uncomfortable deaths having active treatment.
Some patients are very keen on more and more treatment, but I also feel sometimes that perhaps patients are not well informed enough about the impact of some treatments and the fact that no treatment is also an option.
Miriam Dayhue says foregoing treatment would have been kinder for her brother.
It was traumatic and it was painful, and it was something that he shouldn't have had to experience. It would have been so much nicer to go gently into this good night.
Any guest reporting?